Hey, this is Ryan from Clovis Star. It's the 6th of January 2018. Happy New Year. Wanted to give a little report from Ireland here. Hear a lot of stuff about Trump, and some are pro, some are against him. Depends on where you go in Ireland or in the UK. We were doing a bit of traveling, so we get to hear a bit of this, and I've got some interviews coming out soon that I'm going to publish from some other people's opinions on these topics. But I wanted to show you what the Irish Times has been reporting. This is from November 30th about Trump's U.S. tax reform, a significant challenge for Ireland. Now, I'll tell you, this is why a lot of the EU is upset about Trump, and why a lot of the people in, political power or media are trying to take Trump down and make up fake narratives. There's a lot of people with a lot to lose, so they're really kind of furious, some of them, especially these multinational companies that used to get huge tax breaks by going to Ireland or Malaysia or China or whatever with their businesses and avoiding the highest corporate tax rate in the world, which was 39.4%, thanks to Obama, who raised our corporate taxes. Now, I'll tell you why tax reform works, lowering taxes work. We proved this under Reagan. Obviously, Bill Clinton received the benefits, because it faltered down later. It was a plan that worked so well that the next administration reaped the benefits. But it worked. There's no doubt. There was a big boom after taxes were lowered on businesses and in general under Reagan. So let's look at this. The Trump U.S. tax reform, a significant challenge for Ireland. Ireland is facing new challenges in attracting foreign investments due to sweeping changes to U.S. tax rules, which are now close to being voted into law after the Senate voted through its tax plan late on Friday evening. In particular, major U.S. companies will in the future find it less attractive to locate valuable intellectual property assets in countries such as Ireland, as under the latest plans, income from these assets would be subject to U.S. tax for the first time. The planned reduction in the U.S. corporate tax rate from 35 to 20% has been on the cards now for some time, but new proposals on taxing offshore income of multinationals have been included in more recent plans emerging from the U.S. Senate. So this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to encourage more investment in the U.S. So this is a lot of where the resistance is coming from. People on the ground here trying to find jobs in Ireland are pissed off because we're taking our jobs back. Awesome. I love my Irish friends, love this Irish country, love Ireland, but good on Trump for doing that. I was getting a little upset with the United States, and I think all these people complaining, oh, well, the rich are getting more tax cuts than we are. Really, that's not the case. They might be, getting more, gross reduction. They might be saving $16,000 a year if you're a millionaire, compared to the $1,500 a year that the guy making $20,000 or $30,000 a year is making. But the overall percentage is much greater for those on the bottom. Like, people that are making $20,000 to $30,000 a year are saving, between $1,500 and $2,000 in taxes in a lot of cases, where that's a huge percentage of their income. Whereas the richer person is making, are getting maybe 12% reduction or 10% reduction. It ends up being more money because they contribute more money. They pay more taxes. You look at the taxes in the United States that are paid, overall, 97% of all income taxes paid are paid by the top 50%. The bottom 50% only pay 3% of the taxes. So it does help them, even though most of them don't even pay taxes at all. They usually get a tax return back. Like in my case, I've been at the top of my game, making over $100,000 a year, and I'm, now making a lot less. And I've seen where I was making, roughly $100,000 a year and getting more back than I paid in, even at that high of income. Still, at my lower income, I'm getting more than I paid in back because of all the child tax credits and all the other stuff, earned income and all that. So most people on the bottom 50% really aren't contributing anything. Very few are. The 3% of taxes that are paid by these people are paid by a select few people. But to get more deductions or reductions, that means you get more money back that you didn't even pay in. So people should be ecstatic in the United States. And I think this will help them, in the midterm elections and in 2020. I honestly think it's going to help Republicans a ton. But it shows, like in Ireland and in other places that are giving tax exemptions to U.S. companies, that's what makes or breaks it. If they're bringing in billions of dollars of revenue, to a country, that means more workers are making money, and more people that are workers that are just, employees are paying more taxes on their income to the country and bringing in more GDP, so it's more money to spread around. That's what the U.S. is looking at. Trump is smart for doing this because that's going to bring more taxes in and more money in and, more economic growth. I think nobody believed we'd be growing, at 3% under Trump. They thought it would be impossible, and it's getting closer now to 4%. And with the stock market, topping out like it's at the highest that's ever been in history. I think it's like 25,000 now at the Dow. It's crazy how it's peaked so much. Now, sure, there's probably a bubble, and people should prepare. But at the same time, wow! And this is without quantitative easing. Everybody thought Obama was doing so great, because the stock market was doing pretty good when Obama was, in power. Well, he was giving $80 billion a month, no strings attached, to Wall Street that they don't even have to pay back of mine and your money, right? That's quantitative easing. You look it up. The Washington Times and I think the New York Times. What else? Two of them. Yeah, I've got it on opinions.clovistar.com. Reported. You can look up this headline: Obama's $4 trillion gift to the rich, and it ended up being actually $4.5 trillion. And I wrote about it also on disruptarian.com. And that's how he boosted the economy, by giving taxpayer money away to Wall Street. The same Wall Street that funded his first campaign during his first election as president. Goldman Sachs was his top contributor. And so Trump is doing that by invigorating business and giving even the small guys, and I've heard this before that, smaller companies, they don't pay a lot in taxes. It goes on a per diem basis or per income basis, that if you pay, if you're making $1 million a year in revenue, then you're paying the top tier of, 39% or whatever. But if you're not, then you're paying a lot less. Well, capital gains sucks. I was a real estate investor, and I know if I turned over a company or a property before the first year, that I would pay a 30% capital gains tax. So that made me have to raise my property value high enough to compensate for the capital gains tax. Hey.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Anyway, so the strategy here is to get more business into the United States and take it away from other countries. We see that, and not only that with the UN as well, like them reducing their contributions to the UN, where the United States pays the bulk of it. We're paying like 22% out of something like 60 nations, and nobody pays nearly what we pay. And so them reducing that, I think that it's really in the bag for 2020 for the Republicans. Maybe it's not even going to be Trump, but it's definitely in the bag for the Republicans, so that's good. At least if that's their economic policy and it continues in that trend. And then also you see them reducing the national parks, giving it back to the states the way it should be. And the enumerated powers of the federal government doesn't even allow for all these monuments, to be so big. It's just basically supposed to be what's barely needed to preserve something, not overly expansive, crazy amount of acreage set aside. And that's what Obama did with this bear's ears and stuff. But you see in the, property clause, Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2, that, they really don't have the power to grab that much land. It's very limited. And there's a reason why, Washington, D.C. is only 10 miles in radius, and, why it's not more, or why, all the rest of, the forts and the armories and such, and it's written into the Constitution. They're very limited to the constitutional, lingo, and they have exceeded that. Both Clinton and Obama did huge land grabs in states and took their power away to legislate over their own state land by taking it into a federal government, monument. So there's a lot of positive things. Like I've said all along, I have not been a huge fan of Trump. Like the things with Puerto Rico, I was terrible, and I called him on it. I wasn't a voter of Trump. I wasn't a supporter of Trump, but he's winning me over with economics. I mean, I'm glad to see this, and I've always said that taxes need to be reduced. Long before Trump ever decided to run, during 2012 and 2013, when I was talking about Obama, pretty regularly. That's what I was, really concerned about, is him raising corporate taxes and, nickel and diming everybody, all the way up. More and more licenses and, needs for things that didn't need to be registered or licensed previous, and lots of changes under Obama that I was, pointing out and calling him out on. And I was happy Obama won. I was, hopeful that he would do good things. I wasn't a supporter of his, but when he was elected, I gave him my blessing and congratulated him back in 2008. And on December 5th, 2008, made a video congratulating him and wishing him well. But after what he was doing, I mean, and the quantitative easing and all the other stuff, it was just terrible. So I definitely called him out on that. And I've definitely called Trump out on a lot of his bullshit, but I am happy about this, and a lot of these European countries are definitely not. And this just goes to show that lowering taxes helps. So good job, Trump. Peace.